Hi, and welcome back to the channel 60-Second Tarot based on my book by the same name. Today we're going to go into part 2 of doing a health reading. So I'm just going to quickly share this image that was in the other video where you can take the human body and divide it up into sections or quadrants and just visualize what you want each one to mean or to include, such as like number 9 could be the feet and ankles or lower legs. It could also include things like varicose veins, blood circulation in the legs. Quadrant 8 could be the knees, the thighs, cellulite, whatever you have going on. And then some of these areas have the internal organs and so on. So I would say map out what you want these areas to represent. I did give some examples from the book, Foolproof Tarot. We're in book 2 now in the previous video. So what we also talked about was laying a 9-card spread for this. And if any cards come up reverse, that signals a possible issue in that area. So again, when doing a health reading, you always want to use terms like maybe, might, maybe you should get this checked. You cannot diagnose unless, of course, you are a medical professional. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is pull up an example of laying out in either an 18-card spread or a 27-card spread. So we'll start with this beginning part here because when you lay this out, it's rather long. So I have like row 1, 2, 3, and so on, and then I'll bring up the second part. But as we start this, we have, give me 1 second because Zoom's in my way. There we go. We have 3 cards. Now you could do just 2 cards where you do the right and left side of the body, or like this and do 3 cards for each quadrant where you're doing the right and left and then the center, obviously. So I'm just going to show you how you can look for things. So right off the bat, quadrant 1, we have a reversed card. Quadrant 2, we have King of Wands and Page of Swords reversed, and so on. It looks like maybe quadrant 4, there might be an issue with this person. So here's how I would read these. First, I would look at the suit. That's going to tell you the cause of the issue. So the Page of Pentacles there at the top in quadrant 1 has to do with an actual physical body issue. It's pentacles. If we go to, excuse me, quadrant 2, we have King of Wands. Wands has to do with some type of spiritual issue or energetic imbalance. And then we have the Page of Swords. So the sword suit has to do with mental health issues or negative thought forms or negative thinking causing something. And what's interesting is that Page of Swords has the blue background. So this could be negative thinking causing a problem in the future in this area. The second thing I would look at, and so on and so forth. We do have cups here. Okay, so quadrant 4, we have cups, which would be an emotional issue. The next thing I would look for is the number on the card. So that number can connect to a related quadrant with either causal or secondary influence. All right, so Page of Pentacles does not have a number, so we would assume it's some kind of physical issue that's coming from that area. So if we made this the head, like the top of the head, maybe somebody had a blow to the head and it's caused some kind of issue in the brain or something. It could be whatever comes to you. We'll get to that in a second. But if we look at, so quadrant 2 also has people cards that don't have a number. But if we go down to quadrant 4, where we have the 5 of cups, we have a number now. So that number 5, even though it's in quadrant 4, could relate to quadrant 5. So that means the issue could be coming from quadrant 5 or something going on there or something related. And you would have to look at the cards here, like we have the pentacles. So we do have some kind of physical grounding here. The other thing, I would say the fourth thing, so you're looking for reverse cards, the suit to tell you what level of health is being affected, the number to tell you what other quadrant might be related. So if that 5 of Cups was in the 5th quadrant, then it's just talking about its own quadrant and it's maybe a cause of the disease or whatever it is in that quadrant. So the fourth thing would be the colors on the card. So there may be a color on the card that draws your eye. If so, it could represent the emotional state of the individual, which could eventually manifest as disease. It could also represent a system of the body, depending on your interpretation of color. You can use the colors listed, provided in the book I've got. It's literally on the next page. And so, for example, red could relate to the heart or circulatory system. I mean, we literally have a heart there, but it doesn't look like there's an issue. It's not reversed. Like that 3, we have a heart, even though that's a quadrant that's higher up on the body. So let's just show the body again to give you the reference. So the 3rd quadrant's up here, not where the heart is, but it's just saying there's no problem there. So we were seeing 1 and 2 here, the top of the head and center of the head, and then in quadrant 4 across the chest. All right, so let's go back to the image. And let's look at some of these colors. So let's start with the Page of Pentacles up there. And let's say what's jumping out at you is his red hat. Like, is there a color that seems to be standing out to you? Maybe it's the green tunic, but let's say it's the red hat. So red, we're dealing with an actual physical problem because we have pentacles. So we could go back to circulatory, bloodstream, heart, this kind of thing, vein health. So I have, and this is just my choice, what I wrote down: circulatory, cardiovascular, blood, lymph, heart, vascular, veins, arteries, capillaries. So there could be something, let's say again, maybe that person got a blow to the head and something got damaged there with the circulation. Let's go down to, I guess we have pink there in the Page of Swords with the vest. That could be the nerves. That's just what I made pink: nerves, spinal cord, brain. However, we have sword suit, which is mental. So it's not necessarily a physical issue, but it could be negative thoughts causing some issues with the nervous system. So if we looked at the color itself, like from an emotional or mental perspective, I'm just trying to find where I've got pink here: hopeful, loving, compassionate in its negative sense or negative expression, naive, physical weakness, victimhood. So this is like maybe playing the victim, feeling like you're unsafe, which is really interesting because that Page of Swords is guarding and watching your back, and not playing a victim, being active in don't mess with me or I'll come for you. So it's like with it reversed here, it really does fit with the pink tunic jumping out at me, that color. So playing victim or victimhood, this could be causing some mental issues in the future that could lead to actual physical issues at some point. Let's just jump down to the 5 of Cups. We have that black cape. It's just hard to ignore the black cape of grieving. But let's say your eyes are just going in on those cups, those yellow cups or the gold cups. So we could say, and they may appear gold to you in that image. Do we have another cup card up? No, we don't. So they may appear more gold to you than yellow in that particular cup card, in which case you could read the emotional, because we're dealing with cups, the emotional issue that could cause actual physical issues in the future, but it's also causing right now emotional issues. So yellow would be a cheerful, uplifted sense of clarity and focus, but it's in its negative expression with this card reversed, denial, feeling trapped, confusion. So those could be some of the emotions causing issues. If we look at gold, gold in its positive sense is intense, loyal, consistent, and a negative expression would be superficial, unreachable, or lost. So these could be some of the emotions that you're experiencing. And because they're in the fourth quadrant, they could actually, even though it's an emotion, it could feel like it's in that area of the body, or that area of the body could be reacting to it. For example, when you get stressed, you might feel tightness in the chest area, or something kind of is, I don't know how to say it, like sickening, or your stomach might feel upset. So your physical body can react to emotions. All right, so let me bring up the other half of this. And here we have the other quadrants, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So if we go through here, we see in quadrant 7 the Lover's card reversed. So this card does not have a suit, but it does have a number. And that's the only thing I see. So the number on this card is 6. So the problem here is in the center of the body, and it could be related to quadrant 6. So I'm going to wrap this up here with some other thoughts, but what I would do here is treat this as a physical condition, or maybe on multiple levels, because this is one of the triumph cards, and see if there's a color that draws you. But you could also look at what's going on in quadrant 6 that could be connected to causing a problem there. So what I would advise you to do when you lay these out is decide if you're going to do 2 rows to look at the front and back of the person, or if you're just going to include both. For example, let's say with the other card here, bring this back up. We had the right side of the body here with the Page of Swords. So this is something to determine before you lay them out. Is this card on the right going to be my right, or the person I'm reading for, their right side of the body? Same with that King of Wands and the Page of Pentacles. Are they on the left side of the body, my left, or looking at the person, their left? So determine that ahead of time. Determine if you're reading the entire body, meaning the Page of Swords. I've made that right shoulder for the person I'm reading for. So it's gonna be the front of the shoulder. It's also going to be the back of the shoulder. If you, let's say we don't have one in the middle here, but let's say that 3 of Swords in the third quadrant was reversed. We're making that this part of the spinal cord in the back, the neck. We're also making it the front of the throat and thymus or thyroid or larynx or whatever. Let me see what I wrote down on the 3 here, so that if you're following in the book, mouth, throat, thymus, neck, thyroid. So it could be the neck in general. It could be the actual cervical vertebrae. So I usually read front and back and just see what the color pops out and if there's any connecting numbers. So anyway, try that out if you are interested, and let me know what you come up with. And also in the book, I have this separated out, colors to represent organs, systems of the body, and or pentacles. And I have the emotional and mental colors written out. So you can use those suggestions or come up with some of your own so that when you look at something ahead of time, you know what you are reading. And this ties into my previous video on programming your deck. Tell it what you want it to do. Okay, I'm laying these out. I want the cards on the right to be my right, the cards on the left to be my left, but the person's opposite. So if it's my right, it's their left. But what I would do to make it simple is, okay, their right side of the body, I want it to show up on this right side for me. Make it simple, tell it what it's going to do before you lay anything out. And this is the most thorough reading here. Like I said, you can be just as accurate by laying out just 9 cards or the right and the left. So 18 cards. All right. I would love your comments to see what you think. And I will be talking with you soon.